Hey, what's up everyone? I hope you're all having a wonderful time. Here I have the one-hit Viper Strike Pathfinder in Path of Exile. The build is built around the new version of Viper Strike, which is called of the Mamba, and this will give us a huge damage multiplier to poisons. The base alone will give us 200% more, and also we get 2% per quality. The drawback is that we can only inflict poison on enemies if they don't have any poisons on them, and this means that we can only deal one poison dot. As of this, we can take full advantage though of the cluster node low tolerance, which will make it so poisons you inflict on non-poison enemies deal 300% increased damage. The build uses 6 of these and also the node from the poison mastery, making us gain over 2000 increased damage to poisons. It's a really fun way of scaling poisons. The main thing the build lacked though is clear, I feel. However, as we are the Pathfinder, we get access to Master Toxist, which makes it so when we kill a poison enemy, the poison then spreads to nearby enemies, and that's basically what is carrying us for the clear. And we also get a 1 in 5 chance to deal 100% more damage with our poisons here as well. For single target though, this is where the build really shines, as we build up some really nice damage numbers even higher by using both Despair for less chaos resist on enemies, but also Alchemist Mark. And for the mark we get a caustic ground that will deal 75% of chaos damage per second of our strongest poison. And as we only can deal 1 poison with our Mamba, it's almost giving us double the damage of this build. You can play the build some different ways. The first one is the non-crit version, and that's the one that I'm showing right here, and there's also a crit version. I did try both of them and decided that I just went with the non-crit, as it really feels a lot more tankier than the crit version. By choosing the Warden as our Affliction Acendancy, we get access to tinctures, and here we want to use a poison berry tincture, which makes so all damage can poison, and this means that we can basically get as much flat damage as we can, not being really restricted to any special damage type. The Rebuke of the Val is a great and cheap choice for the build, as it provides tons of flat added damage, which now all can poison from using our tincture. Lightning Coil is another item that we want for the build, with its unique modifier, which makes it so we take 50% of physical damage taken from hits taken as lightning damage, and this helps the build mitigate some physical damage here. Combining this with a Topaz Flask, which makes it so we take less lightning damage, is a great combo with this. I'm currently not fully capped on Fist 2 lightning on this character. I need 8% more I think, but that is still possible to achieve with some investment. Other than that, we are only using rare items with as much life, resist and spell suppress as we can. The build got full spell suppress with high life recovery, elemental, ailment, immunity and also curse, and poison and bleed removal as well. And let's go over quickly some stats to focus on. Try to go for life, resist, mostly the chaos one, spell suppress, flat damage from all sources, damage over time multiplier, ailments deal damage faster, increased flask effect and duration, and strength and intelligence is also good to get, as they are quite hard to come by on this build. And here we have a quick look on the passive skill tree. For more information, I do recommend you go to the POB and check it out for yourself. This will be in the description. For the Ascendancy, we're going with the Pathfinder, and the first node is going to be Master Toxicity, and this basically spreads poison when you kill an enemy, and also have a 20% chance to deal 100% more damage with poison if we have a Flask up. Nature Reprisal gives us a chance to inflict Wither for 2 seconds on hit, and also boost the effect by 50% of Wither. Nature's Adrenaline gives us 3 Flask charges every 3 seconds. And Master Surgeon makes it so flask effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled, and this means that we are able to have our life flask up for its full duration for some extra life recovery. Great source for defense. And next for the Warden, first we got Coated Blade, and this makes it so we can use our tincture here. And for the second one is called Nature's Concoction, and this gives the adjacent flask to the tincture 3 charges when we hit the enemy once every second, and also increased effect of all flasks as well. And the reason we have our tincture in the 5th slot is because of the micro Distillery Belt, which makes it so we can't use the Flasks in our 5th slot. And yeah, if you are playing without it, you can change the tincture location and get some extra benefit from 2 slots instead. Oath of the Magi is a very strong node as it provides different bonuses to your character depending on if you can spare an item by not having any gems in them. And this you can play around with however you want. At the moment we are using the all resist, so we have no gems in our helm. Really helps out to cap ourselves. Gloves would be the ideal way to go for the extra life, but also boots works if you want to go faster. And let's look on our jewels here, starting with Storm Shroud, which makes it so chance to avoid being shocked applies to all elemental ailments, so this is where we get that from. That which was taken with increased effect on your marks and the effect of wither here. Obviously you can get a much better one here, and this is basically how big your budget is. Lastly, we're also using a Watcher's Eye, and here you get some physical damage taken as lightning while affected by Purity of Lightning. We also get some added flat cold damage while affected by Hatred, really strong as all damage can poison. We're also using the Adorn, and this will increase the effect of a corrupted magic jewel up to 150%. Mine is at 108 at the moment, and I would recommend getting one with at least 100 for it to even be worth using. And then if you go over to our normal ones, you want to get element that deal damage faster and also the chaos damage over time multiplier. As you can see, this provides at the moment double, and the effect can go up even higher as just mentioned. Also good to know is that the implicit here also get a buff as well, so if you manage to get some with, let's say, curse, bleed or poison reduction here, you can get yourself immune from this source as well. At the moment we are using 5 of these in our setup. These guys are pretty expensive to buy, however if you want to make them yourself they are actually pretty cheap. It's just a matter of alterations basically. And yeah, they are just a pain in the ass to make, but if you're on a budget, I recommend you doing them yourself. For the clusters, we're using 2 voices and try to get them with as few small passives as you can, as they don't provide any bonuses, but we get 3 socket passives instead. For the medium clusters, go with the increased chaos damage over time and focusing on getting the low tolerance node cluster here, which will give us the huge damage increase for our one-hit poisons. And the second one that you want to look for would be the Brood for potency, which gives increased damage over time and flask charges gain. And don't mind the hemorrhage here node, as this is the one that you want for the crit version, and I just had these while testing out this build. For the main links, let's start with the Viper Strike of Mamba. Then we're going with Unbound Ailments, Swift Affliction, Deadly Ailments, Melee Physical Damage, and also Cruelty. For mobility, we are using Whirling Blades, which is a faster attack and life tap setup. We're using Despair, Alchemy Mark, Withering Step. Connect them these with Enhance for some extra quality. We have Malevolence, Purity of Lightning, and Petrified Blood, linked with Enlightenment. And for the Hatred setup here, we are using a Guardian's Blessing, also with a Raised Spectre. And what this does basically is that the Spectre will activate the Hatred aura here for us, but it will start to degen from the Guardian Blessing until it dies. And by using a Dark Marionette as our Spectre, will make so it will reform after it dies, so you don't have to worry about losing it. For the Flasks, we're using a Divine with increased amount recovery, as it will do its full duration as we are spec'd into the Master Surgeon passive in our Ascendancy. We also want this with Corrupted Blood immunity, as we don't really have it yet on one of our normal jewels. Taste of Hate will make it so a % of physical damage from hits taken as cold damage instead. And with this current setup we get 24% from the Flask alone, so do focus on getting one with a max roll here. We also gain a % of physical damage as extra cold damage as well, so really great there. The base Exile from the Sapphire Flask also provides some less cold damage taken and some extra resist as well. We're also using a Topaz Flask for the resist and less damage taken, as well as a Quicksilver for some extra movement speed. The gain charges when you are hit by an enemy with the enchant used when charges reach full on them. Combine this with the Flask Mastery, which recover 4% of life when we use a flask for some extra automated life recovery. You want one of these flasks to have a chance to avoid being shocked during effect, and this is combining with the Storm Shroud Jewel, as we mentioned earlier, for elemental ailment immunity, and you also want one with reduced effect of curses for the cursed immunity. For the tincture, you want a poison berry base, so all damage can poison. Also, hits inflict withered debuff on enemies that are on full life, and also with the increased melee strike range helps a tiny bit here. For Pantheons, we're using the Soul of the Brine King, so we cannot get stun locked, and also provide some extra recovery here as well. For the minor one, we're using Abereth, and this is basically so we are unaffected by burning ground. And just quickly going over some of the immunities of the build. Corrupted Blood from using our Life Flask. From our other flask we get the Curse and also all ailment immunity by combining Chance to avoid being shocked and Storm Shroud Jewel. For Bleed and Poison we are using a Flask Master which remove a non-elemental ailment when we are used a flask. Alright, so there we have the 1-tap Viper Strike Pathfinder in Path of Exile. Have you tried it before or tried another version of it? Feel free to tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!